Thomas Paine is an American writer who authored some of the most influential series of pamphlets in American history, specifically Crisis Number 1, which we will be overviewing.
The speaker of this writing is Thomas Paine, who was a successful philosopher during his life. He was a very influential figure, and many people respected his opinions. He was a very prominent political activist and was very against Britain's rule over the colonies. He believed that the colonies should be self-governed and free from the tyranny of the British rule over them. Since he was such an influential figure, he was able to reach people that would not listen to less respected people. Paine is speaking to the colonial citizens at the time, and there were two major groups of these citizens. The Whigs, also known as Patriots, these were the people that wanted to break off from Great Britain. There was also another group called the Tories, also known as the Loyalists, who wanted to stay loyal to Great Britain. Paine uses an appeal to fear when he talks to the Patriots because he knows how much they hate the over-control and the mistreatment that they have dealt with from Great Britain over the past many years. He also uses an appeal to skepticism when he is talking to the Tories, because he wants them to know that they should worry about Great Britain's true intentions, and that their intentions are not what is best for the colonies. Many of the soldiers in the rebellious militia were disheartened from many losses in battle that they had recently suffered, and Paine wanted to boost their morale and prove to them that the war was definitely still worth fighting for. Many of the soldiers were questioning if the cause was still worth it because of these recent losses, and Paine was there to remind them that it definitely was still worth fighting for, and you can see this in this crisis. He also wanted to recruit new people to join the militia because the U.S. Army needed many more soldiers if they wanted a chance to beat the ever so powerful British Empire. He also wanted to convert Tories to prove to them that Britain was not loyal to them and they should not be loyal back to Britain.
In paragraph 9, Paine speaks about the evils of the British and the mercy that they offer. He offers a warning against siding with the British, and he cites the other misdeeds of the British as reasons that they might not be telling the truth in this case. The whole first half of the paragraph is spent bad-mouthing the British and the motives behind their mercy. The second half of the paragraph is mostly spent describing the terrible things that will happen if groups or individual colonists side with the British. Paine makes it seem like joining with the British will guarantee the destruction of whatever parties take that action. He speaks of threats to unarmed colonists like natives, and he makes the point that if a group of colonists turn traitor, another group nearby will be angered and attempt to destroy the loyalists. The paragraph ends with a reminder of who is to blame for the tricks, how in Great Britain.
In paragraph 9 of Crisis Number 1, Paine invokes fear into his audience by telling his audience the horrors which await them under the rule of the tyrannical British. Paine stated, "Were the back counties to give up their arms, they would fall an easy prey to the Indians." Paine is conveying a very clear message, which is if you give up your arms, as the British want you to do, the Indians will take advantage of you being nearly helpless. This invokes fear into the audience because at the time, the only thing keeping the colonists safe from the Indians was the fact they had a defense against them, their guns. This helps Paine better convey his message because it highlights why they are fighting against the British because of the fear of what will happen if they do not defeat them. As well as invoking fear into his audience in paragraph 9, Paine also appeals to his audience's sense of logic. Paine states, "It is the madness of folly to expect mercy from those who have refused to do justice." Paine is appealing to their sense of logic because it is highlighting the thoughts of a fool. His message here is that a fool would expect mercy from one who has already dealt them an injustice. And because the British have most definitely denied them justice, they will not give them mercy if they, the colonists, and the First Continental Army are defeated. They are logical in their thinking, and they will realize that Paine is correct about why Britain needs to be expelled, and this will most likely reinvigorate them in their quest for freedom and independence.
Throughout paragraph 9, Thomas Paine intends to appeal to his audience's feeling of indignation by reaffirming the transgressions they face under British rule. He does this best when he states, "Were any one state to give up its arms, that state must be garrisoned by all Howe's army of Britons and Hessians, to preserve it from the anger of the rest." Paine's message here, then, is that if they give up their arms as the British suggest they do, they will be ruled by a domineering and repressive military state. to supposedly protect them from the other colonies. This supports Paine's message because it illustrates what even one concession to the British could do, and incites anger in his audience due to the feeling of having liberty stripped from them by an absolutist government with further oversight. In addition to appealing to his audience's indignation, Paine also addresses his audience's skepticism of the British crown. He best exemplifies this when he declares, "The cunning of the fox is as murderous as the violence of the wolf, and we ought to guard equally against both." What he means with this sentiment is that, like a fox, the British are delusive and insidious, e.g., when they attempt to convince colonists to give up their arms, in hopes of causing inner turmoil from subsequent Indian attacks and providing an excuse to occupy the colonies with Howe's armies. Paine also means that, like a wolf, the British are brutal and murderous. Such was the case during the Boston Massacre. His end goal with these references is to sow mistrust in the crown. Under no circumstances should the British be trusted.
Through his writing, Thomas Paine is trying to destroy the relationship and trust between the colonists and Britain. Britain is already on the outs for many colonists, and this paragraph is attacking any pull Britain has left with the people from the colonies. The whole paragraph is about calling into question the word and the offers from Great Britain. By the end of the paragraph, Paine wants it to seem obvious that Britain doesn't care about keeping their end of certain deals, and his attacks are meant to destroy the reputation of the mother country and General Howe with the colonists. That means any offers from Great Britain in the future will be immediately doubted by colonists who have read this pamphlet, and there is no hope for trust between colonists who buy into what Paine is saying and Great Britain at any time in the near future.